Chris, I am not hearing you.
That's because my microphone's not on.
Ah, okay.
It will go on when the meeting starts.
Okay, thanks. We have a quorum, I take it.
We have a quorum plus one.
Ah.
All right. Do we have, is Lynn on? Is Lynn on for taking minutes? No. Wait one more minute. Input signal not found. Awesome. Yeah. Right, we can't see any external people. All we see is ourselves. There we go. We lost Jerry and we don't have Lynn. Can someone else volunteer to take minutes, even in the most abbreviated form? Okay, you'll just take some bullet point, and you've got an electronic solution that might solve it. All right. Well, 8:02. Shall we come to order? Need a gavel. All right. We are called to order as at 8:02. Roll call. All right. Chris Ronis, are you here? Ah, yes. Jerry, are you present? Lynn, are you present? No, Lynn, though she said she would. So
I'm here. Oh,
you are.
I don't have my picture up.
Okay. Are you taking minutes?
I am.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Craig, are you here? You are here. Dale, are you here? Marianne, are you here?
I'm here.
Ray Rothrock, are you here? Vic, are you here? Rod, are you here? Randy, are you here? All right. We are here. Quorum is detected and recorded, and therefore the meeting can proceed. Oral communication. Does anyone have any oral communications? Items not on the agenda that we would like to discuss today.
I just have one comment. It's hard to hear you, Randy, and I know I'm a little hard of hearing, but I think I'm not Randy. Chris,
yes.
If you could speak a little bit more into the microphone, see if that improves. And
right.
Who is Fireflies?
Who is Firefly?
That's a name up there.
It is a meeting assistant. Apparently, we are having an electronic transcript created of our meeting.
Okay.
We're testing that out. Is that right?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So, any oral communications? 1, 2, 3. Moving on to item number 4. Review and approval of the minutes from our last meeting. They were attached.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Anybody want any amendments? Anything? All right. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
We are going to abstain because you weren't here. Excellent. Okay. Minutes are approved. Town status update. I don't believe we have any representative from the town to give a status update. So let's skip over that unless anybody here knows anything about any of the items. I guess general would need a town official land status for the AM radio. Will you cover that later, Ray? Is there any progress? Okay. And internet backup status, I believe we discussed that last time. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think we can take that off. Yeah.
All right. Good. On to item number 6. We are ahead of schedule. We're 11 minutes ahead of schedule. plan to have us out of here by 8:30 today. All right. Oh, here comes one. All right. Evacuation plan status and discussion. And I was hoping that we would have an update both from Dale and from the fire department. Oh, if you could, thank you.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Yes. I do not have an update as far as the evacuation plan. Fire Marshal Giuliacci is out of town at a fire marshal convention down in Santa Barbara. Same with Selena, so they are not here. So I don't have anything to report for that yet.
I did talk to Kim on Wednesday night, so I've got a little bit of an update.
Okay.
Of her side.
Well, then I think it's up to you. You will both lead the discussion and.
Great. Okay. So what you have in front of you is the first public draft of the rewritten evacuation plan. If you all remember, this committee adopted an evacuation plan that was primarily written by members of this committee, significant input from all the other parties involved. It took over 2 years with, everybody. That met with, essentially met a stone wall with certain folks, and the subcommittees got together and Kim, the new fire marshal, and Don Boyd at the time volunteered to rewrite the evacuation plan. And what you have in front of you is the first public version of that plan. This has been circulating in various draft forms before this for review by various groups. The DEM had seen it, the sheriff's department, and so on. And so this is the first review of it. This, unfortunately, the way this prints, and when I sent it to Chris, there are a bunch of comments that don't come through in the printed document, primarily my comments on the side. And I was hoping to have a discussion with Kim earlier this week, and then, of course, she's out of town. So I had a brief conversation with her Wednesday night. Yes, Bud?
With regard to the comments, there's two different colors. There's no reference as to what the colors mean.
Yeah, and I don't know how to resolve that.
Which ones were yours and which ones were somebody else's?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just looking. I'm just looking at this for the first time this morning. But I think D would be you and KG is fire marshal.
Which is that right?
So I think the purple, it says D9. I think that might be Dale, and I think KG might be Kim Giuliacci.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm looking at the digital.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I look at the digital and I can see your comments.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you see my comments.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. D is for Dale.
D is you, so you're purple.
Yeah. Okay. So the significance between the original plan that was written and this plan is that the plan that was this committee approved last year was a very resident-friendly plan. It had a lot of information in there for residents and just general folks, as well as information for first responders and town officials. This document is not resident-friendly. All of those kinds of things have been stripped out. There's a lot more, I would say, jargon, and you can see from some of my comments and Kim's that, that's understood. We understand that. And so this document is designed to be primarily for town staff and the professionals. It is not a resident-friendly document from that standpoint. And I think it has to be read in that context. So that is the biggest difference between the two versions. There are several important things that need to be resolved in the document. One significant one is the TRAs. They call them some other things, but they're temporary refuge areas. that are very important, and those Kim says should be defined in the next couple of weeks, unless the chief has some other view. But Kim said that we're supposed to have some information on those in the next couple of weeks. There's some facts and figures about the number of structures within the WUI and so on, which are also supposed to be included in the next couple of weeks. You can see from my comments that I have some issues that I think need to be resolved to make sure that it's very clear in this document what the lines of control and so on are. But I think Kim and I can resolve. So that is kind of where we are. I'll ask the chair, we can have discussion on this. I am not in a position to completely approve it as written right now until we get these additional comments and things filled in. But certainly by the next meeting, we should have a complete.
Maybe put it down again.
Mute everybody. You can mute everybody.
Hey, Jerry, can you mute your microphone?
Have it mute.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Your microphone is live over there.
Right.
Okay, so with that, I guess are there any questions, comments, clarifications from this group and this committee that you think are significant?
I think it'd be nice if the abbreviations were up front rather than the back, because you're going through this thing all the time. There's all these abbreviations, and sometimes they're defined, sometimes they're defined 3 pages later. It's kind of hard trying to figure out what the abbreviations mean unless they put them someplace, and they put them right at the end, and then they're not all there. Only some of them are there.
Yeah, I did have an offline discussion. Remember, this document is for the first responders and town staff who know what all these things are. In our document, we did have them up front, and the fire marshal moved them all to the back because they said, they know what they are. And if you don't know what they are, then they're there to find them, but you should know what they are.
You're the wrong person reading the document.
Exactly.
So I have a comment. First of all, it's continues to be good progress. Perfection is the enemy of success. And so this isn't perfect, but it's pretty darn close. I did feel, as has already been mentioned, it was very nerdy, and not for your average citizen. So it seems to me, if this is approved, when it's approved, there needs to be some resident overlay, right? For a resident, how to interpret this or what the resident should do, or the business person down here at the service station, or, those who are you? This is what you should think about. This is where you should tune your radio or web, whatever. Just that kind of stuff. But I'm not a professional, but I've worked on a lot of this stuff for a long time. And other than as a little nerdy to get to understand the acronyms, and once I got them, it flowed pretty well. So I would leave it up to the professionals to say this is a good plan or not. But I worry about perfection as an enemy of success.
Actually, I agree with Ray. I think it's a real good plan the way it is. And the idea of an overlay is really good because this plan is actually for the town and the professional. And what we do in a later time to help the residents, we have lots of leeway to do that outside of that plan as an addition. And it's really good. It's a nerdy there, but it's the professionals who are going to run the evacuation. So I think it's good enough to go, in my opinion. I think it's really good as a document.
So I'd like to concur. I think it's good enough to go. In fact, I want to state it more strongly. Having watched the last couple of town council meetings, it's been really disappointing to see how little they understand about what's going on with this process, although I think it's improved a little bit. And I think it's really at a point, perfection is the enemy of good, and this is a classic example of it. I agree, Dale. I want to give you all the room you need and those who have operated in such good faith and worked so hard on this, the opportunity to bring it to the point that you are satisfied and the committee will be also satisfied. But in the meantime, I'm concerned that the town council is not really aware of how much work has been done on this. And I think we're really ready to at least inform them of what has been accomplished. My own personal view is I would provide and make available to them as well as to the community what our current draft is that's undergoing this process, so that they understand that this is not being held up by our committee in any sense, and certainly not being unduly stalled. We are approaching another fire season. We're in March now. This process has been going on for a very long time, for good reason, in order to make sure that it is a solid plan. I believe we do need one additional aspect of input that should not prevent us from bringing it to the town council, but is important, and that is to provide it to the town manager and staff to give them an opportunity. I don't know if they've had that chance yet to actually review.
They've had this, the town manager has had this plan for about a month.
Oh, okay, great. So
and we so far haven't gotten any comments.
All right. And in my informal discussion with the town manager, I'm aware that they are aware of it and are supportive of this moving forward. So my issue is primarily a process one, Chris, which is I think we need to give some form of interim report to the town council if we're not prepared to provide this to town council now, which at least informs the town council of where we are. And as we were asked at the last town council meeting, we weren't asked, but other town council members were asked, when is the report coming? Where is it and when is it coming? I think that they are very now highly attuned to receive a report. And I think we need to inform them about where we are, and in turn, hopefully the community will be aware as well. So that's the procedural question that I have. And I would ask Dale if it's at all possible. I don't know what is required to get this next stage done, but hopefully we're here in March that you'll be able to meet with Kim or whoever else is involved, the other stakeholders, so that at the next meeting we'll be able to take a final action on this and move it forward. Those are my observations. And thank you for your effort on this, because I know it's been a long one.
Any other comments?
Yeah,
Actually, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Dale, thanks so much for your continued leadership and work on this. It's such an important issue, and I know we had so many problems and challenges last year. So I have a couple substance questions and then a couple more process questions. And on the and as I mentioned, I apologize that I have not gone through this. I didn't even realize it was in the packet until last night, because I just had scanned the agenda and so there's that. But you mentioned the chain of command, and this actually came up in the school evacuation meeting. It was a question to the fire marshal, and I actually had this question as well in terms of where the final decision is, and it was Kim discussed that it was the fire marshal, that it was made collaboratively, but I think there could be some further clarity there, because the question of sort of chain of command is even if the expectation is that it's done collaboratively, who has the final call if it ends up being a disagreement, if communication channels are down?
Yeah, that's pretty clear. This document.
Okay, great.
It's the incident command or the fire incident command is the decision maker. And several of my comments are in paragraphs that leave that a little bit confused, just making sure everybody is fully aware that.
Well, part of the confusion around this is that individual organizations such as the school district and Sequoias are responsible for their own plans, but then in an actual incident, the incident commander is responsible for the decision about which part of the plan goes into execution. Is that right? Okay, great. Right. I think it would help understand that.
That was hopefully very clear, and some of my comments are trying to make that doubly clear.
Great.
Yeah, and I think Kim's comments also, where it wasn't clear, her comments were, this doesn't need to be vague.
Yeah.
Fire incident commander in charge.
Yeah. And then one of the things that came up pretty substantively about the our version 1 was the maps. Craig had mentioned that there were errors in some of the evacuation maps, and those needed to get corrected. I don't know even know if there are maps in this one.
There are maps.
There are maps.
Okay, and were those corrected?
I don't know.
Okay, that was going to be some work because the maps were like photocopied with sort of highlighting, and we corrected ones that we knew beforehand. I had some help with that.
I will check on that.
Great. And then in terms of some process points, I think for your summary was actually helpful and already answered a few of my questions in terms of the main high level differences. In terms of for this committee, if we could end up getting a summary of any substantive changes from V1 that kind of come out of your work with the fire marshal, that would be helpful.
Version that we passed?
Yeah.
Essentially, they gutted everything that had to do with individual responsibilities. So to Ray's point about a citizen overlay, if you look back to the one we did last year, that one is much more resident friendly.
Okay. But
it has a whole section on what you should do and so on. And so the two are very similar, except this one is very nerdy and focused on first responders and the town, whereas ours was more of a resident, the one we passed last year, was more of a resident facing.
okay,
So
yeah.
perhaps by evolution, they're separate, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. If there end up being any differences with respect to responsibility between the fire district and the town, then,
No.
Okay.
No, there were no significant
Great.
differences between responsibility.
No.
Or if there were, they were inadvertent.
Yep.
And again, I'm just trying to strengthen those in the current document.
Okay. And Vic, you just mentioned this, and described it as a report. And actually, is it titled as a report or a plan?
It's the evacuation plan.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about that, a lot of disagreement and problems associated with what it was called. And so I don't know if that makes
because of our version. This one really is a plan. It's coming from, again, the fire department. And I will tell you the significant piece that we need to get buy-in before we probably want to approve a draft is from the town manager, because this document, it comes from them, but it actually is the town's document. So we need to get some input from the town manager.
Mhm.
We've sent it to him. He's had it for a month. Hopefully they can review it and get back to Kim.
Okay. Then my sort of last associated questions here are like connected to this is, has Councilmember Craig Taylor been involved? Because, he had, and have the comments that he made on our previous one been reviewed? Because I provided follow-up comments to all 50 of his comments, and those are in my public Google Drive folder.
I don't know whether I think he's been copied on this.
I just have concerns, in that he's sort of the subject matter expert on the town council related to safety stuff. And
Randy, I can tell you, I've had several meetings with Craig about this at his home and otherwise many communications. And my understanding is that he is satisfied with the plan. His questions were process questions. I know I mentioned this the last meeting. He felt he felt strongly it was really important that the plan come to the town council either through the town manager and staff, or at least together with the evacuation committee and the town, presenting it to the town council. There seemed to be some kind of a territorial issue that I just didn't understand. I frankly think is non-existent. But to him, it was important that it not look like it was coming just from our committee. And since we are seeking the buy-in from all these stakeholders, in particular the town, I think he will be satisfied based on my conversation with the process that we've set up. Mm-hmm. And I know that Sharif is anxious is too strong a word, but very receptive. Even if you haven't gotten a response, Dale, I certainly can try and speak to him again to see where we are and to move on this expeditiously. So I think that's all primed up on a process side.
And has Councilmember Taylor acknowledged the non-existence of the legal issue as well?
Yes, he certainly has to me.
Okay.
Because
has he done it in writing?
No, I understand your concern about that. I have reported to him that I spoke with town council.
Or giving clarity.
No, I understand that. Just to be very clear with you, I personally have spoken with the council to both the Woodside Fire District and council to the town council. They are very comfortable that this is appropriate when we're ready to bring it to town council and to act on it. Subject, obviously, to what we all know, to the extent it impacts on any other groups and any other communities, we need to act in coordination with those communities. So the short answer to your question is yes, I think that part of the process has been dealt with, and I think it's ready to go to town council when we're ready to present it to them.
Okay.
I have a question. This is
Yep,
Jerry.
Yep.
I think one of the areas we could get hung up is if the council were to come up with some idea about, well, did this particular organization have an opportunity to review it? I think it would be valuable to have an appendix that just lists the organizations that, in fact, were able to review and input and quote unquote approve the document. I think that would be useful to the people of the town to know how many people were involved in the process, as well as the council not getting hung up on something that we missed. Just an
Gary,
idea.
If you look at the cover page, there's a signature right there that says reviewed by, and it's the town manager, the PM, the EPC, the sheriff's department, and the fire marshal.
But they're not signed.
No, because this is the draft.
We got to approve it before anybody can sign.
Yes.
Is any signatures or reviews necessary by the county emergency services or not?
Yes, that's right in there. That's
right?
the DEM. That's the second one right after.
Okay, I can't see it on my phone, so I apologize.
Okay. Yeah, and by the way, they've been quite responsive. They sent in a whole bunch of comments, and Kim has already incorporated those into this draft. So the DEM's comments, I know we have the sheriff's comments. We're working through the EPC comments, and we should have the town manager comments next.
Are we sure about this? Because why would the town manager say anything if we have not approved it? Because usually, and Jeff you can shed light on it. The way I understand the general committee business here at town, the committee works on a plan or on something. The committee approves, and once the committee has approved, it goes to town council for presentation. And then the town council says, I like it or I don't like it. And the town manager says, I like it, I don't like it. If we don't approve it, I don't think we'll ever move forward with this. Jeff, can you say something to that?
Why don't we wait? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're ready for you, Jeff.
Oh, we're not ready for Jeff. Sorry.
The way I understand it is that the fire marshal would like to get the town manager's input. If all of his comments are complete and we approve it, then it should go fairly easy through the town council.
But I must say, I tend to agree with Marianne's point of view that if I were the town manager, I would say, why don't you send it to me when it's done? I don't need to see the version that you guys can't even agree upon yet. That's got all these things hanging out there in comments. If the fire department wants to send it to the town manager and get some input, I think that's fine. But
yeah, I agree too, Chris. And I think there was a problem with the previous town managers through back channeling and through, I think, too much control and input on some issues. And I think where our committee can contribute its many, decade plus of experience of people. And I think I mentioned this in the last meeting. I think it is important that the committee have a degree of independence. And I think that it's a better process for us to approve it first before, detailed discussions with the town manager. Now, if there's technical things to work out, the errors or something like that. I mean, I don't. Perhaps the town manager could attend to address those issues at the appropriate level, but not at a higher level that the town council itself should be reviewing it and So I think it's really important to get that right because I think it's gone really wrong in the past.
And I'd welcome it. I think that would be a great thing if we had everybody kind of looked at it before. And I like to run business meetings that way too, where you know that all the parties have seen it, everyone agrees, you bring it to the board and we all approve it. That's a nice way to go.
I would just, whatever process we come up with to encompass that review, I think it is important so that we're sure from an operational point of view that there's nothing out there that we're missing. As the town manager, the people that are going to administer this plan, that they see that there are any red flags that haven't been considered. And I think that's important to be able to represent that with the support of the town, if it's at all possible. But I agree with all the comments that have been made. We should not inhibit our moving forward with this otherwise in order to get this across the, if you will, the goal line and get it done.
One more thing, in terms of getting it done, and this was what a major part of the feedback I was giving to Craig last year, which is we weren't pretending as if it was done, and there were some important substantive both points of disagreement, things to do, so that to the extent that those can be called out and potentially not fully addressed in this plan, that's a way to expedite getting to a baseline document that allows various stakeholders to do further work in this important area.
I like that. There's one other point I'd like to read. Email I got, unfortunately, way too late, but it's from Nan Shostak, the head of the Geologic Safety Committee.
Yeah.
And on March 3rd, 2 minutes before midnight, he wrote to me, the Evacuation Plan Subcommittee of the Polo Valley Geologic Safety Committee has developed a report on seismic hazards that can impede an evacuation during a wildfire following a large earthquake. At a January 18th meeting with representatives of the Woodside Fire Protection District, the EPC, the Geologic Safety Committee, and the Geologic Safety Committee Subcommittee presented a draft of the report and seismic hazards map. Marshall Kim recommended including a summary of the report and the seismic hazards map in an appendix to the evacuation report. The summary report with map will be presented to the full committee, the Geologic Safety Committee, for approval at their March 11th meeting. They would very much appreciate our comments, preferably before March 11th. Of course, we got that after our packet was already sent out. So I don't understand the concept of sending us something on March 4th and assuming we can respond in time for a March 11th meeting. But this was news to me. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if this is a significant input or change, or if this is simply information. They're going to pass a report that has a map, and
it depends on how you view it. To the Geologic Safety Committee, it's very important, and we've had a couple of different meetings, the EVAC subcommittee with the Geologic Safety, and it is important. They've generated a beautiful map and it's in the attachment, but it's a gorgeous map showing all the faults, all the liquefaction zones, and so on in town. And in our meeting with the fire marshal, she agreed that it should be, probably as an appendix, so that the first responders and so on will recognize that if we have this awful situation where there's an earthquake and a fire, where there could be disruptions to the evacuation routes. So they can just look on the map and say, gee, somebody ought to go check over there to make sure that we can actually get out that way. And so that was the concurrence to put it as an appendix to this plan.
Okay.
And I think the fire marshal agreed that she was going to do that. And, she was out of town and hasn't done it. And I don't know whether the GSS actually created that appendix or whether Kim is going to have to, condense something down to include it as an appendix on the evacuation. But it will be in there.
I mean, who on this committee would have any additional knowledge that a map is wrong or right? What do we know about? So
no, we'll put it in and
again, the keeper of this document is the fire marshal at this point. We have input and so on, but she's the keeper of the document.
And Chris, Nan and the Geologic Safety Committee have been responsive in giving feedback on this since all through last year. And some of their document, I think Nan's document is in this folder, in the public folder that I've been keeping. And so, this is an example of if there's substantive important stuff, it could be left for next phase. But in addition to Geologic Safety Committee, I remember, Craig Taylor's key comment before we approved it was to vet this through the Wildfire Preparedness Committee. And so, but there again, I think this, if you look at the signature page, this is the work of this committee and in coordination with the agencies. And I think if all of us can agree, meaning this committee and those agencies, I think that's a real good starting point for a document to take to the town. And then if there's follow up from other committees, then that could be left as the next phase.
All right. So let's take one more.
How do we move forward?
That's where I was just going. Thank you very much. Really, really good input, right? So we've had our subcommittee. We've reviewed. We've had good discussions. There's some points, and I think we have a couple things to resolve, which is there's a feeling or a suggestion from at least some of the members of this committee that it is essential to get a report in front of the town council as soon as possible. There is some unfinished detail, including this geologic safety addendum. And I guess, I feel like this was a great summary. I think this discussion put all the details, what people think are missing in front of the whole committee here. I think we could almost act on it today if we wanted to. And the question is, do we want to, or is the right thing to do to go one more round here and get a more final product in front of us 1 month from today, the next first Thursday? Hopefully the subcommittee will have had time with Fire Marshal Kim to get everything, all the comments resolved. And then we could look at a more complete document, which we want to send on to the council. Maybe we can entice the town manager to review it in the meantime, but maybe not. And maybe we just put a deadline in front of ourselves that 1 month from now, whatever state we have, we vote to move it forward. So that's kind of open for discussion. And I also want to now turn to Jeff, our town council liaison, and ask, what would you like us to do? We're doing this on your behalf. So what would be the most useful thing for this committee to do so that the town council can?
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, first of all, thank you for the work you've done on this. The council is aware of it. I know they appreciate the importance of it. So please don't feel like we're not taking this seriously. What you have now, though, are two reports, or two evacuation plans. You have what we looked at in December and the council accepted, which was the forward-facing plan, to Ray's point. And now you have this much more detailed staff-to-staff agency-level plan. And so, as far as, the agency-level plan, the one you're looking at in this packet, is really something that I think needs to be agreed on between the staffs of the various agencies, including the fire district, but also obviously the sheriff's office and DEM. That process has to go forward between the staffs at some point, and that report should come to the council via staff because it is operational. The forward-facing, the public-facing report, we've already reviewed. We should probably review it again. I think we could have a study session on it with the council and discuss sort of what the public needs to know. And those two, reviewing those, I think both plans are important. Both plans should be made public. I think one of them should be formally adopted, and one of them should be the forward-facing one that the public looks at to see what to do in an emergency. So I think when the staffs are agreed on, when all the agencies have signed off on that form as front page, I think that should come to the council for approval. But that could probably also, I think it could happen in the next month or two. But I also think that would be a time for the study session where we talk about both the formal adopted plan, which is agency to agency and very technical, and also the forward-facing plan, which is informative of the public, and give the public another look at both plans. One, to know that the formal plan is in place, that we actually have an agreement that the agencies have all signed off on. And second, that we have a plan for them to look at for what they need to do. And again, they're two separate plans. One would be formally adopted. One would be put out there very publicly. I think we would review them. Like you said, we definitely want to make sure that our, town staff and all the various district staffs are all on the same page. So we wouldn't want to do it before so it should come from them, but it should come fairly soon and it should be public. And and I'd love to have a presentation from you on both reports and your input on them, but also for the council to hear from and to make sure that the staffs are comfortable. So I don't think it's critical that you approve it today because there are some changes on the technical level that clearly need to be resolved, if I understand the discussion correctly. If you were to approve it next month, hopefully the Sharif and staff would have a chance to review it during that time, and we'd be ready in hopefully March or April to have a public discussion and adoption of it. Does that sound reasonable?
Any reaction from committee members?
This is March.
Agreed. Yeah. So your next April. So it'd be April. Excuse me.
Right. So I'm more than happy to go forward with that process in mind if that's what the town council would be most comfortable with. The one thing that I am concerned about, and that's the report phase, Chris, is that listening to the discussion at the last town council meeting, when one of the town council members understandably asked, where is it and when are we going to get a report? I really feel some kind of interim communication to the town council, whether it's through you or a written communication, a brief one from us, that this is moving forward and this is the process. It's just critical. And I raise this because I've been invited to go to these neighborhood meetings. I just had one in town. And I can tell you that if it's not anxiety, the concern about where we are as a town is still very much at its peak. So I just want the town council to be up to date and aware of how close we really are to getting that football across the goal line here.
And that's partly my fault. I forgot to file a report on the last EPC meeting. I will have a report in our next packet that the council will see and it'll be available for public discussion.
If you think that'll do it, Jeff, that I'm comfortable with that. I just want to make sure they do. No,
I think it's what we can do right now because again, I mean the document you have in front of you is a really good document, but it's really agency to agency, and we know even less about the council knows less about this than you do. So we're very much we want to input at the high level, but in terms of the details of it, I want to make sure that the agencies are all on the same page.
All right. So because of that, I assume you don't feel it's necessary that there be an interim verbal report to the town council at the next meeting from this committee about where we are, that your internal memo or whatever you have in mind will be sufficient.
I will write the memo up and I will also comment on it during the meeting. And I think I wouldn't want to get into all the details of the whole evacuation.
Don't need to, right.
Just for time reasons.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, Chris.
Any other comments or?
Yeah. Should we make a provisional approval?
I'm not sure what that would.
Well, meaning that we accept this, but we want the last tying of the knot by all these agencies. I mean, we've read it, we agree with it, but we know that it has to have a few more, corrections, but otherwise we think it's okay. And that way it says to the council that we're supporting it as it is with a little bit more touch up.
So a possible way to do that is to endorse the process and feel we think there's good progress, and we would ask our liaison to please pass that on to the council. Yeah. And I think maybe I don't speak for all of us. We should maybe have an informal vote or even a formal vote. I think this plan is amazing. I think there's a lot of work, and I think we should feel good about the last 2 years worth of work, because I think a lot of what went into the original plan, despite the fact that it's been rewritten, was the basis for this. I think we wouldn't be where we are if we hadn't done all the background.
I think we need to tell the council that we've read this, we support it, we're giving an encouragement to move forward. Other than just saying we discuss it, that doesn't say anything. They were making any decisions.
So I'm a little bit so maybe we have a sense of the meeting, to use Robert Rules of Order, a sense of the meeting. We're supportive. There's some fine things done, and we like the plan that Jeff's put out here to finish. And that's a formal motion, sense of the meeting, and we're either in or out.
I think it's a great idea.
Maybe I misheard, but I thought Dale mentioned there were a couple significant things to resolve, and if those could be called out, then I think that is important.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so, Randy.
It's a detail. It's for the sense of the meeting. Sense of the meeting.
And that's why we're not going to move to a formal approval.
Right. But it's a sense that we're all supportive of what's being done, and we should get it finished.
A second that.
So could you make the motion? Or?
I move the sense of the meeting that we support the evacuation plan. It's almost finished, and that we should, I guess, by April, by the next meeting, be prepared, whatever, with the constituents that, way too wordy. Sorry for the note taker. Sense of the meeting, we support the plan, a few little tidbits to do. We support Jeff's schedule to get it in front of, and I think also in there we should nudge the town manager to finish.
Second.
All right.
And I've been doing a lot of nudging.
Keep it up.
So, any discussion? Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So
Okay.
unanimous that we pass on that sense of the meeting.
You should ask for abstentions and.
I'd like
I
to
should
just,
probably abstain because I didn't review the plan.
But you're right. Are there any abstentions or nays?
I abstain because I didn't review the plan.
You abstain. Okay. We have one abstention.
who abstained?
Randy did, but I
abstained.
very much defer to Dale's leadership on this. So
I just want to tell you that as a resident in Portola Valley and reading this draft, I was able to breathe a big sigh of relief. Woodside Fire, the sheriffs, everybody is going to take good care of us, and everybody's going to know what to do. And I appreciate the efforts of Kim. I'm grateful.
And I want to tell you, at the town meetings that I've gone to, the level of appreciation of everybody's effort, the Woodside Fire Department, the committee, the Dale, and everybody's been putting this work in. I cannot tell you how heartwarming it is to see the appreciation from those in the community that are informed about what's going on. That's why staying to the schedule is so important for our credibility, the town's credibility to its residents.
All right.
Okay, great. Yeah, I would just like to add to make sure that the message goes back to the Woodside Fire Protection District that we're really appreciative.
Absolutely.
Of the effort and the work. I mean, it's a Herculean effort, and I think the fire marshal herself did an awful lot of that. And just an interesting story. I don't believe it's only at the top. I believe the entire department. We had just an aside, we had a medical incident at my home, to which the paramedics responded. Everybody's fine. All of them were aware of the evacuation report, and one of them very much so in part of it. So I know that it goes beyond just the leadership level. And by the way, you guys were fantastic. Thank you for everything you do.
Just one nit that I tried to find. I went on to the Portola website. I tried to find the plan, and I got to say, it's buried someplace in there. I finally, after about 15 minutes, and maybe my ineptitude by IT, but I really would like to ask somebody to take a look. There's a way more prominently, because the citizens that I've spoken to have asked if they can access the draft that is available. And there is one there, but it's buried. It's really hard to find. So, Chris, I don't know who's the person to speak to about this, but I'd love to find a way that a quick inquiry, if you put in, draft evacuation plan or the like, that residents could access it and see what's there.
The person to work with, I just worked with her on conservation, is Kari Jim, and she will do anything we want under the under the Emergency Preparedness Committee.
Okay.
So she can help us with that anytime.
Could you speak to her about what might be a way to do that?
What do you want? Sure, I can. But
Okay.
what is it we want?
I'll tell you what I want. I want if you...
Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah,
offline.
I think offline is appropriate.
Sure.
I have one other thing before we leave evacuation. I don't know if everybody is aware, but since we did the evacuation capacity traffic plan 2 years ago, we have a seat license with a online cloud-based, AI kind of based evacuation, real-time evacuation thing called Ladris. And Rob and I and others have been working with this group for 2 years, getting the bugs out of their system, also in concert with Woodside Fire. And Rob was kind of the expert, and he turned over a lot of information to me, and I've been working with them the last 2 weeks. And I hope by next meeting, I'm going to have a set of reports of the output from Ladris that compares to what we did 2 years ago. And I think I will also be able to show you the difference between adding all the new housing that we have to under the housing element. And then again, we can adjust that, which is really useful. But it's been a long road for 2 years to get the bugs out of that system. And again, thanks to Rob, put in a lot of work on that. So anyway.
All right. Thank you.
And also thank you again, Dale. Your continued effort on this is so appreciated, really. Your knowledge of the history here, you're staying with it. I'm sure you'll be the happiest person sitting at this table. This is behind us. But it is appreciated by we newcomers to what you've been doing for a long time. So thank you for staying with us through the process. It's much appreciated.
Excellent. Thank you all very, very much. Let's move on to item 7, which is a report from...
Excuse me? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hi. Yeah, hi. Will you take public comment on this?
Yeah, we don't see anybody's hand raised or anything like that, but I'd be happy to take a public comment. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. My hand is raised. I'm Roberta Zarre. I'm the superintendent of Portola Valley School District. I just wanted to say, again, thank you to this group and Randy, actually, for participating in the district's emergency preparedness committee. The work we're doing is similar to what you're discussing here. And really a big shout out to Kim Giuliacci and Selena Brown for supporting the district in so many ways, training our staff, workshops for parents on our evacuation and wildfire preparedness plan. They've been phenomenal. I did just send an email to certain people in this group, including Sharif. I would like a chance for us to discuss the draft plan, and we can discuss, the implications and impact to the school district, because we have obvious reasons where that's important to us, and we also have an evacuation plan. So I would like a chance to meet and discuss, and just wanted to say thank you on our staff and students' behalf for keeping our students safe and for this work. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. Any comments from anyone on the committee?
No, we'll make sure that we get together with Kim, Roberta, and get your inputs on the plan. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments before we move on? Okay, thank you very much. Number 7 on our agenda is a report from the fire district.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Fire Marshal Kim Giuliacci is not here. Selena Brown is not here. They're at a conference, fire prevention. Kind of a short report this month. In the last couple of months, we've been working on different policies to help prepare our district even further than what we already do. Just bringing our staff level up to a certain kind of report of how we do things. And one of the things we recently came up with was a winter weather staffing and preparedness policy. It kind of mimics our red flag summer weather pattern staffing we do. So this is something we just came up with. We just implemented due to the storms and the impacts of last year. We started it out using it last month. Basically, it supports 3 different levels of contingencies based on weather potential, staffing adjustments, and notification and messaging updates. Opening our DOCs, CERT activations, and resource polling. It's a great way to give direction to everyone in our organization, so we're all on the same page. When we know we're having a weather event coming, we're not scrambling as to what are we doing, how are we staffing. We look at this document, it's really laid out. It's like 19 pages long, but it basically spells out a bunch of different scenarios as far as the different levels of weather patterns and what we do to kind of up staff for those events. And the recent one we had was February 4th, the big weather day we had with the winds. we responded to about 34 calls in just that short time period, which basically maximizes our resources, right? We have to call in extra resources. We actually upstaff additional staffing just to help mitigate those. And Cal OES actually reached out and said they would help fund any additional staffing for events like that. So it was great for us because we put up additional staffing and actually we'll get reimbursed from the state for that. It's called a pre-positioned staffing plan that we kind of utilize within the county. So that's something we're working on and trying to do better at that so we can have more people working in the county when the state helps reimburse for it. So a lot more policies coming to streamline our district. That's one of the things I felt we needed to kind of enhance. We had another promotion take place. We just promoted an interim captain to the EMS JPA Med 2 position. It's an interim spot. We had somebody who's out on long-term disability, so we felt the need to put in an interim position to that. They just started yesterday. We have great news with our fire station in Woodside. We finally moved back into that after 20 months of construction. We moved in last Wednesday, so it's been great. Brand new facility, houses all of our equipment inside, plenty of space for everybody to work and be comfortable. So we're going through the punch list items now, which will probably take several weeks, and we hope to have some kind of opening ribbon ceremony in the next month or two after the construction and the move-in stuff is completed. That's been a great thing. As far as Jasper Ridge pile burns going on, you guys are probably all aware. That's been heavily publicized, and I hope we try to do our best working with Stanford and Cal Fire to get it out to everybody. So that is supposed to be wrapping up today. I don't think they burned yesterday just due to the weather, but so far no issues with that. They've been doing a great job. It was this week, Monday through Friday, so they should be wrapped up today.
The wind is in our favor.
Yeah, the weather's definitely. As far as Salina, I know there's some in-person CERT training that's going on March 7th. And training, we have some training that's been going on with our crews. Every year we do mandated live fire training. All our staff, all our line personnel has to go through live fire training, structural firefighting. So we use the urban search and rescue site down in Menlo Park that's by the base of the Dumbarton Bridge. Little facility down there where we run every crew in the whole southern end of the county utilizes that space for training that gets done mandated. They're also this week going through driverless car training with the Waymo company. So that's taking place down at the Hiller Aviation. So learning how to secure a vehicle that doesn't have a driver and disable the vehicle. So that's kind of exciting. It's coming. So we got to be prepared for it.
Arrested.
Yeah.
They don't just give you an off switch, huh?
Yeah, no, not just an off switch. And then obviously we're working on our fuel mitigation and our hazard abatement policy, vegetation ordinance that we're presenting. Again, we did a first reading last month at our board meeting, and we'll be doing a second reading of that at the end of this month. And that's all I have.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
And I talked a little bit with Kim about this. All through this new document, the DEM inserted this thing called iPause,
Yeah.
which is their new notification system.
Yeah.
And I think it would be important to have maybe Selena come at one of these meetings and explain that to us, because
She'd be great at that because she knows it in depth. She's actually trained all of us on how to use it, and through the RAVE system, the different levels of notification and how we utilize that.
And because I am concerned that there's going to be a front-facing education process for the residents.
Yeah, it's mainly just getting the people to sign up still. That's been the biggest thing.
Well, I was told that it's going to be an opt-out, so everybody is automatically in, but I may be incorrect.
That's actually new to me. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I'll bring it up there.
Yeah, I think that's important.
All right. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your fire station. I can't believe you got this done so quickly.
Yeah, it's exciting. Crews are excited to be back and leave that a flat temporary site because it was tough to be there and back home now. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go back to my side story, but I'll give your paramedics a grade A. It was like watching a training video. They did exactly what we were taught in CERT, the way they Check out the patient. First things first, second things second, right down the textbook.
Good. I'm glad everything worked.
Excellent. Yeah, along those same lines as iPause, I noticed that Zonehaven has been replaced by a new name. It's the same product, but it's just got a new
It
moniker
just got
now.
bought. Zonehaven got bought by Genesis.
Is that going to be a confusing thing for the residents?
Of course.
We have all these
Well,
labels.
no, you'll still see Zonehaven, but it's owned by Genesis.
Yeah, if you type in the Zonehaven, like online or whatever you did
Yes,
before, it diverts you to Genesis. So it's all linked together. And yesterday we had the San Mateo County Fire Chiefs meeting, and that was brought up. And DEM is now going to be working with Ladris, as you mentioned before, and doing some more drills. I mean, we started this. We did that drill, a couple months ago at Station 19 with Ladris and Genesis, and brought everybody in and did a drill. So now County DEM is going to be kind of facilitating those drills and using Ladris for further development and evacuation.
Yeah, Ladris takes a big learning curve, but once you understand how to do it, it's very, very good. And Rob and some others spent a huge amount of time getting bugs out, because we use as a baseline trying to make sure that the results were pretty close to the Fair and Peers study. And we use that as kind of our baseline. And once you could get that, then you'd say, okay, calibration. Then we can kind of trust the numbers coming out of it.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. Let's have a look here at our timing. We're at 9 o'clock. Let's do our best to be done at 9:15. Some of us need to get on to other things. Town Council Liaison update. Jeff, do you have anything for us?
Oh, one quick thing. The EPIC funding. So last budget season, we had the council sort of paused several contributions that we make every year. One of them was $5,000 for the EPIC program. That money, I believe, has gone through. I believe you have it. Just wanted to note that funding went through, and it was, again, that was the council was reacting to a fiscal crisis 6 months ago. The funding was important. We put it through. Also, just generally, there's a lot going on in town hall that none of us are seeing because it's all internal. It's sort of restructuring, dealing with finances, dealing with, sort of trying to fill staff positions. So they're working very hard. You're not seeing a lot of things happening right now because it's all internal, but I just want to warn, they're doing the best they can to process everything you guys want and everything we want and all those things happening. So I'm just going to give staff a shout out because they are working really hard right now to kind of get us on better footing going forward.
All right. Thank you.
Chris, this is Jerry. At some point, I would like to add a comment about EPIC. It could be now or later.
If it's appropriate for now, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure the committee members know that the Sequoia Healthcare District approved a grant to EPIC for $45,000 to purchase another trailer so that we will have a trailer in Woodside, Portola Valley, and up in the Skyline area for emergencies. Just so I wanted to FYI.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jerry.
Awesome.
All right. The next one is item number 9, subcommittees, which I'd like to look at the subcommittees that we have on our list, decide whether they should continue, and if so, are the chairs appropriate, and do they need any additional members? Maybe we can combine that with number 10, and we'll go through each one. So,
Quick point. Attached to the document is another report from Craig on the TIS signs.
Right. We'll get to that when we do. Maybe we'll start with B. Let's start with B.
Okay, good.
And then as we're going through each one of these, we'll decide whether that committee should remain, if the chair and the membership is appropriate. But starting with 10B, Craig, do you want to walk us through the report that was attached to the?
Sure. Let me do that as quickly and as concisely as possible. So I don't know how much of background we really need, but these are the TIS signs that we're trying to get installed. So I wrote, along with Lynn, a report back in November sometime. It really didn't go much of anywhere. And during that time, I also thought maybe we're throwing too much at ASCC for those guys to try and figure out what we wanted. So I actually rewrote the report, redrafted it, and it's far more concise and focused. It's really asking ASCC, these are 4 options that we are looking at or that we think are the best, and those were actually ranked. So as far as process-wise, I think what makes sense to me perhaps is to go through the report if you guys are okay with it, to then remove the draft from it, and then I would send it to ASCC and the town council liaison and the town manager, and take it from there. I think the next step after that is ASCC to approve some form of, which option they want, and then go through the process. This doesn't seem to be rocket science, but, try to go through the process. And I think what we've proposed is the most reasonable and the least costly.
All right. Do you want to take, let's, cap it at 5 minutes to walk us through?
The report itself?
Well, isn't that what you were suggesting, that we approve the report that you?
Yes. If you want to do it now. Yeah, absolutely.
A question?
Yep.
Looking at the signs that are listed here, if I'm driving by, I won't read it. I can't read it. It's too small. The print's so small. Anyone driving at 35 miles an hour or whatever it is, look at those signs. You can see the community, the watch sign. It's large. The print's big enough to read, but you can't read that little sign. You have to walk by it. You have to walk by it to see it.
Yeah, I understand. And I think that's a very good comment. What I tried to do is label these as concepts. So we can, of course, increase the size of the sign and the font so that it's more legible. And I think also that some of these signs are fairly standardized. They've been out there for a while. I'm not sure that what I've depicted here are exactly what are standardized. Again, it was a concept, but I can change the report to try and reflect that if that's what's needed.
I have a kind of a different view here. Been working on this particular issue for maybe 3 years, maybe 4. And the ASCC, the town manager, the road engineer probably all have to, approve this. So I think the sooner we could get this on their agendas, the better. And I think this is really instructive and great work by Craig and Lynn. And so I would recommend we move as expeditiously as possible on this.
All right. Why don't we continue getting your report, and we can decide at the end if we want to ask you to make any updates or whether you approve as submitted.
Yeah. So I think what probably would make sense is to actually just go to the second page with the 4 proposed signs. I think that's the heart of the report, if that makes sense. And again, maybe operationally, it makes more sense for people to review the report and then get back to me, or we could do it right now.
Well, did everyone read it? I mean, do we feel prepared to?
Yes, sir.
Ask questions and perhaps vote to approve it?
I think it's a good report.
I think it's an excellent report. Anybody have a hesitation?
I move to remove the word draft and issue it.
With a second? All right. All in favor or discussion?
I would just like to echo Bud's comments that unless this is highly readable to people, we've really just sort of crossed a box, but not maybe solved the problem. And so if we think this is really important, I think that we should have one option that's bold enough to say that here's a separate sign with a number that's easily readable at 30 miles an hour. That's my only comment.
There are lots of regulations about all that, and we'll comply with whatever those regulations are. As Craig said, this is just a visual example. I get the confusion, but an official sign with a, officially government blessed thing has all kinds of rules and regulations, even the colors.
Color.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think
It's not going to look like.
my view here is that this is just, we're asking the ACC that we can proceed with this, and maybe they'll come out, well, specifically, what does it look like? And that is what I would expect from the ACC.
And let me address that just for a second. I think we can also get prototype signs from a vendor, and we put that in front of ASCC, which makes it much more concrete.
Good point.
Okay, that sounds like we're still on track to approve as is.
Okay.
We've already had a motion in a second, so let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any nays? Do we have any abstentions?
I should abstain again just for technical reasons because I'm not up to speed on this. But thank you and I defer to the committee, and thank you so much for your work.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much, Greg. Great work.
Great work.
Thank you very much. We'll get it going.
Yep. And may I also point out, this may take the efforts of our liaison and our esteemed chairman here to push this on ASCC to get it on their agenda and actually at least look at it and begin the discussion.
Okay. Understood. And I think we'll do what we do, subtle work of moving things along. Okay. Do we need to continue this subcommittee, and is it appropriately staffed? I guess we continue it until it's resolved, right?
Oh,
That's what I would think too. And I'll chase it down as best I can until it's done.
And you're content continuing as chair, and do you have all the membership you need?
Yes, I'm fine.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Let's do 10A then. Communications. Ray, your report unfortunately came after.
That's all right. Everything's green. Howard did complete bearing the radials for the AM radio. My testing orally has been terrific. The results have been terrific. I brought my meter today. I'll actually go and measure it, make sure it's functioning as we expect. So big check mark there.
Fantastic.
He said he would check, but has not gotten back to me about the LAN access to the radio for programming, external programming. So as far as I know, we are still constrained to physically putting a USB chip in the radio in the building. And if the building is not accessible, then we're stuck.
But someone on the town staff is capable of making that
there's
update?
an MIS group that the town hires. I've talked to the fellow that does it several times. But it's not my call.
Nope, that's not what I meant, but thank you for that.
Oh, sorry.
I meant to change the message on the AM radio. Should there be something that needs to be changed tomorrow?
Have to do it physically at the radio.
Who's we? Is the town able to do it without us?
It's just,
Carrie can do it.
Whoever.
So the town is trained. They could put a new message up in the event of emergency, but it has to be in person. So we're still
in person. Yeah.
Okay. Are you content continuing as chair of this subcommittee?
Sure.
And do you need any more membership?
You kidding? We're finished. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all good.
Number C. How about that? Evacuation. Says needs new chair, but we appointed Dale as chair. I think you probably could use extra members. Maybe not, though. Maybe we're coming up to the end. How do you feel about remaining as chair, and do you have enough membership to get things done?
I'll remain as chair. We are hopefully coming up to the end of the evacuation, but I will continue working with Ladris, since as of right now, I think I may be the only one in Portola Valley town, although the town has the license who can run Ladris. So clearly it would be nice to have someone else help review documents, but I think the massive efforts of the evacuation committee are beginning to trend down. Randy is on the evacuation.
Right now it's you and Randy, right?
So it's me and Randy.
Yeah. And is this a standing committee or an ad hoc committee? Because I had thought of the evacuation committee as a standing committee, and then the evacuation plan as a project under it. And I can see this first part of the evacuation plan is, and hopefully it will come to fruition, hopefully before fire season. But I'd always envisioned, even when I was putting all the work into this last year, that was just a first phase, even of the evacuation plan work. And we discussed there'd be follow-up evacuation plans, and so I mean.
Well, we've treated it as an ad hoc committee, and maybe
it was established as a committee.
but it's as a subcommittee to this committee.
Yes, it's a subcommittee, but it's not an ad hoc,
But a standing subcommittee.
like communications.
Okay. I'm content with that. I think there might be some process issues around that, but let's deal with that.
Yeah.
So, but I agree that there's ongoing need to have that done.
And speaking of that, Councilmember Alves, has it been resolved whether standing subcommittees are subject to the Brown Act, of Brown Act committees? Because that was a point I raised last time, and I thought the law on this is pretty clear, but there was some debate and disagreement about it, and it's obviously a critical issue. Was it discussed with the attorney? Has it been? Okay.
Good. Given that it's probably going to continue, it seems like an extra member would be a useful thing. Mm-hmm. Do we have anyone on the EPC that would like to join the evacuation committee?
Vic?
Anyone wearing a red sweatshirt that thinks they might? Fair enough.
But I think this does also raise some process issues related to other committee members, contributing to especially if they're standing committee, especially if they're subject to Brown Act. It's an important process issue. And yeah, for example, like last year when Rob asked for my help, I said, well, I should probably join the committee, right? And he said, okay, we'll make that official. So we did that. I think we should, get this tighter. It'd be a good idea.
Well, I guess let's find out if there's a need to, and then if so, then we can.
What I didn't understand what you were just saying. What are you referring to?
I'm referring to other committee members contributing to the standing committee. If it's just quick and it could, I imagine it could remain informal. But I think if it's substantive, people should just join the subcommittee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we should just have a streamlined process for that. And so you could join the subcommittee even if it was for a short period of time, even if it's to solve a particular problem, like in this case, the legal problem, or to even provide high-level leadership to get it on track.
Well, let's find out if it's necessary. I don't have a problem with it if it's not necessary by the rules. I think having a subcommittee that's responsible and getting input from others from a process point of view doesn't bother me. But if it is something that's not per the rules, then we should fix it. So let's get an opinion on that. All right. Well, we failed to get you any new members, at least for the moment. Vic, neighborhood outreach.
I'm not sure how I ever got to lead that committee, except Dale, de facto, not de jure, appointed me to it as a need. I'm happy to continue in whatever effort is there. I will tell you that the outreach has been essentially to be available to communities that invite you to come and speak about what we're doing. That's been a very enjoyable, a little bit time consuming at times. And the ability to get these neighborhoods to really get meaningful programs traction and moving forward continues to be the frustration of identifying real people that are willing to take accountable responsibility for it. I'm willing to continue in that regard, and I welcome anybody else that would like to be part of the process. I would close by saying the biggest issue right now that's out there is who in these communities are willing to engage in a Firewise effort with WPV to really get the communities up to snuff. And it's back to the same problem again of who's willing to be accountable and move forward. So I'm happy to continue to nurture it and be available as a resource with the understanding that I may call upon members of the committee from time to time, perhaps to go to some of these meetings and talk to the community about the areas of their expertise that I don't have and answer some of their questions. So that's my summary.
Do you have any committee members besides yourself? Subcommittee members?
And not that I'm aware of. And nobody has been drafted by Dale or otherwise, as far as I know.
Does anybody want to join?
I would join you.
Oh, that's great. Welcome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay. Then
Great.
let's do that.
I think so. When we're finished with this, we'll approve whatever changes and such. But I think that's great.
Wonderful.
All right. Committee E, resident outreach / Marcom.
Actually, I have given this some thought. I think it would make sense to combine the neighborhood committee with this committee. I think this would make sense if it were one subcommittee. What do you think? He's not listening.
He's pretending not to listen.
He's pretending not to hear. I think it would make sense logically. I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. I got it, Mary.
Combine those two committees because there are lots of overlaps.
Yeah, I'm not sure I appreciate the distinctions, but the concept sounds very sound. So in my ignorance, I would totally support that.
Well, why don't we do that and see if it works?
Okay.
I think there's a simplicity in having fewer subcommittees. That's all right with everybody.
And since Marianne has already offered to be involved with neighborhood outreach, then Randy, I think the question is, would you like to continue with this combined committee to the extent we can avail you of our services?
Sure, I can continue to be on this subcommittee. I was again focused on the evacuation plan work and anticipating this work to follow, and hopefully that will happen this year.
I was going to say, it seems like that's a natural follow-on.
Absolutely.
There's now a big education process.
Great. That's great. Good. Thank you.
All right. Well, I have 3 people listed as chairs now. Who is going to chair the new combined committee? What's the feeling of the subcommittee?
That's the neighborhood outreach committee. We're talking about the new combined.
We've now done a new combined neighborhood and resident outreach / Marcom.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, but I'm also happy to defer to anybody else that would like to do it. And I'm not seeing any anxious volunteers here. So, Randy, do you have any desire to do it?
Not right now, but I do think that we can try to figure out some way to bring in some more resources. I can share a little bit more about some ideas around this, and whether it's resident volunteers or some paid staff time, because I think in the end, we end up being limited by people being able to do stuff and to carry out ideas and stuff that we want to do.
Well, I've worked with Selena. Selena is sort of an honorary member.
Sure.
She is very helpful. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm happy to continue for the time being.
So we will combine subcommittees D and E. Vic, you will chair it. Membership.
And I think we'll want some resident volunteers as people to vet material by, to give us feedback. And so I think we could eventually envision building out more volunteers that we help
do
manage.
have individuals to do that. It's an excellent suggestion. We can talk about that in the committee.
Good.
We definitely have people identified.
All right. Last one, the ad hoc safety element subcommittee is the lead chairless and memberless.
I'll take that over as chair. And it's an ad hoc committee because this is a one-off. Hopefully we will get another draft of the safety element sometime this year. But we don't have anything right now.
Jeff Alves, is there anything you want to add to the prospect of looking at a safety element? Is that on your radar screen for us?
We'd love it to be. Keep in mind, we're hiring a planning director right now who is going to be the person that's overseeing that. So, a lot of things are being held up for better, unfortunately. So I don't know when it's going to be in front of us. I do hope this year, yes.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
We can just leave me for the time being until we actually have something.
Get some more direction.
But it's clearly an ad hoc committee because once it's done, it's
done.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Done.
All right. The next regular meeting is not March 7th. It's April 4th. Anybody know they're not going to be here? Any committee members? Okay. So we probably do have a quorum for that. We got close today. Last chance for any comments before we adjourn. Great meeting, everybody. Thank you.
Move.
Good meeting.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I have to go to
One thing for you. Don't leave yet. So just